we just go about our business and try to be the best we can. You ask for the respect from the other 17 clubs. You need to go and ask them, not ask us.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Kanga TV, home of North Melbourne fans, and welcome to the Round 4 review. North Melbourne last night going down to the Sydney Swans in an embarrassing performance, an embarrassing second half performance. Sydney 18-9, 117 to North Melbourne 8-4, 52. I don't really have a lot of analytical notes or takeaways from the game last night because I don't think that's really going to help anyone process what unfolded at Marvel in the second half of last night's game. And I am sort of struggling to make sense of it, and I'm struggling to understand where we're at as a club at the moment. And I wanted to use today's review as a chance to talk about it and try and make some sense of it, and then try and find a way for us to move forward. And it's really hard because it's only round 4 and we've put in 3 very solid performances to open the season. We had that incredible win over the D's. We narrowly lost to the Dogs in round 1, and it was inaccuracy that hurt us. And had we been able to put a straight score on the scoreboard, we probably could have won that game. And then last week in Adelaide are showing they're a real tough opponent at home. We've never won at Adelaide Oval before. Windy conditions later in the game. But we were in that game, we were in the hunt for the first 3 quarters at least, and then it kind of just got away with us. We kind of just got outclassed and bullied a little bit by the Crows. So coming into the game last night, I don't remember the last time I felt so good and so confident about a game and really understood the opportunity for North if we were able to put on our best performance and put all the pieces together that we had shown in the last 3 weeks on stage last night to go 2-2, a really solid, a really confident 2-2. Not like we were in 2023, and I spoke about this during the week. What it could do for our season, what it could do for the club moving forward. And it all fell apart in one half of football. The tension and the intensity of the game in the first quarter, at least, you could cut it with a knife. You could honestly cut it with a knife. The crowd were fired up and the boys were fired up. We just looked hungry. We looked like we were smelling blood, and we were ferocious at the tackle, and we were hungry for the ball. But the issue for North, and it's been an issue the whole season so far, is that we are unable to capitalise on the scoreboard when we are dominating on field. So we could dominate play, and we did really dominate play for the first, I would say, quarter and a half of that game. We were absolutely right in it, but our over-possession of the ball and our inability to move quickly and intensely means that we're unable to translate on-field domination to scoreboard domination. And I think that is a big issue for us that has come back to bite us a few times this season, because you lack confidence if you can't finish and you don't get the reward for effort. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the umpiring because, it probably took a lot of buzz out of the first quarter, but it happened in the first quarter against the D's as well. And ultimately, the umpires are not going to be responsible for an 11-goal loss, are they? Probably not. I wouldn't have thought so anyway. We just got completely outclassed and completely embarrassed by a side whose structure and framework is a lot stronger than ours. Their identity is a lot clearer than ours, and in turn, just about anyone can plug themselves into this Sydney side and it works. It just works. Tom Papley didn't play. Will Hayward stood up and shone. Tristan Cherry was beaten by Brodie Grundy in the ruck very comprehensively. The midfield was completely outclassed. Riley Bice, the mature age recruit from Werribee, just killed us off the halfback time and time again. The Nick Blakey and McCartan double team on Larkey and Jack Darling destroyed us, and we were unable to make the most of the other options forward of the ball. Paul Curtis, Cam Zerha chipped in. They played their role. Nick Larkey got on the scoreboard when the game was over. But for a forward line that's been functioning so well because we finally got the right matchups up there, we failed to identify those properly last night. And once again, there was a big breakdown moving the ball into the forward 50. And it's just a real shame because, you know, it takes us 20, 30 possessions to move the ball from one end of the ground to the other. And then when we get the chance to go inside forward 50, we break down. We turn the ball over. The Swans walked the ball out of our attacking 50 so many times last night. And the pressure was pretty good for a while there in the middle. But then on the flip side, too many times they were also able to just walk the ball out. And for a team who seemed to bring so much heat and heart at the start of the game, I don't know what happened after halftime, but it just completely left the building. And I just don't know where the club sit, because I don't know if we are the club that has come out in rounds 1, 2, and 3, or if we're still the club that came out last night, because last night felt like a game that I'd been to multiple times at the start of last year. And I really thought we were past it, and we might be past it, and this might be a slip up, and every club has bad games, and this could just be our one bad performance, and we could turn it around and go again. And God, I hope we can find a way to do that. But I don't want to hear that we trust the process and that we know where we're going and heading, because it doesn't look obvious to the fans sitting in the stands last night. There were 32,000 people at that stadium last night. I don't remember the last time North pulled a home crowd like that against an interstate club in particular. I know the Swans have a really strong supporter base in Melbourne, but my God, the opportunity was there for us to showcase our best football to a stage of fans who are finally reconnecting with the club and getting back in touch with the club, and that second half is just inexcusable. There are no excuses for that. You've got majority of your best side on the park and fit, and you're just still not good enough to do it. And it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because I know, we all know what we're capable of. We've seen it in front of our own eyes. And for it to be so inconsistent and to be told that we trust where we're going, I don't, like, what is there left to say anymore? On the stat sheet, numbers looked pretty good, especially in that first half. We were on top in possession. We were winning the ball out of the middle of the ground somehow. We were matching them inside forward 50s, matching them with the tackles, everything. And we just could not convert that to scoreboard pressure. So then when the pressure inevitably comes the other way, and teams are always going to fight back, we just couldn't withstand it. And we had nothing to show for all of our hard work. And it feels like it takes us so much time and effort to get one score on the scoreboard. And within a flash, the opposition have matched it at the other end. And it's slow, it's stagnant, and it's just really painful and a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work. And I don't know what the real North Melbourne identity is on field, because to be just completely washed out of the game after half time and to not really give any bite whatsoever. Just soul sucking. It's soul sucking. And during the week, Clarko did a press conference and there was a comment about earning respect from the other 17 clubs in the competition, and if we're sort of starting to turn the wheels and starting to give sides a scare. And he said, you'd have to ask the other clubs, the other 17 clubs in the competition, if they respect us. I don't care what the other 17 clubs in the competition think about North Melbourne. I care what North Melbourne thinks about North Melbourne. I care what the players think about North Melbourne. I care about what the coaches think about North Melbourne. I care about what the fans who show up week in, week out and support the club till they're black and blue think about North Melbourne. Because if we don't respect ourselves and we don't respect the inner sanctum and the people that matter to the club, then we're never going to ever have an opportunity to gain the respect of those outside. And we will just continue to be pitied by the competition and laughed at by the competition. And so I just want a response from here. That's all anyone, I think, can ask for at this point, is a response and longevity in that response. And I could talk about positives because there were positives. You can always look for positives if you want to look for positives. Harry Sheezel was back. Harry Sheezel was one of the best players on the ground last night, and it was so good just to see him look so good and so comfortable. But I didn't know that the return of 2024 Harry Sheezel would also come with the return of 2024 North Melbourne, especially in that first half of the year, because that's pretty much what was on show last night. Colby McKercher being allowed to run and kind of be that ball carrier through the middle of the ground, it worked really well. He looked very exciting when he was given the license to run. And I think with a little bit more experience and time and polish, he will have a really big impact in moving the ball from one end of the ground to the other. I thought Matt Whitlock really handled himself well in his debut. It was a shame that he was subbed off later in the game. But I thought he was excellent, and I think he's got a really good head on his shoulders, very composed, very cool, calm, collected under pressure. I thought Luke Parker was outstanding against his old club, and the roar that came from the crowd when he kicked that goal and the way the players just swarmed from everywhere for him. It's nice to know that in such a short amount of time, the club can mean so much to him. It's the same thing that happened with Jack Darling when he kicked his first goal for North Melbourne in round one. Darcy Tucker, I thought, probably played his best game for the club last night. And the hard thing about this is he will probably be the scapegoat for the loss because Jackson Archer's due to come back in next week. And Jackson Archer is a walk-up in this side, but Darcy Tucker doesn't deserve to lose his spot because I thought he was probably in our best players last night. And the way he dared to take the game on and did it well. He made a couple of mistakes, but they all did last night. And that's going to be a real shame because people want to pinpoint a loss on someone or something to excuse it or to be able to justify it. But Darcy Tucker shouldn't be the one in the firing line after last night. No way. No way, no way. I don't know what the logic was behind bringing Griffin Logue back. I thought Griffin Logue was good last night when he was on field, but he probably played like 60% game time. He spent a significant amount of time on the bench in every quarter. He looked a bit proppy. He didn't look great. Toby Pink played really well last week and the week before, and he absolutely would have been more than capable of holding down the fort last night if it was required for another week. So I wonder what the logic was behind that. And maybe that's why Matt Whitlock made his debut last night, because they knew Griff wouldn't be playing more than 65% game time. What the logic was behind that, I have no idea. Riley Hardiman as the sub, he had an immediate impact when he came onto the ground, but it makes me think that he probably should have started on the ground. Dylan Stevens, who's been the sub in the last 2 weeks, looked pretty good last night. But the impact that Riley Hardiman was able to have in such a short amount of time, he should play next week and he should play the full game. But again, I don't know if that happens because Finn O'Sullivan's a walk-up in this side when he's well, as well as Archer. So two guys who will most likely make way are two guys who probably deserve their spot in this side next week. And I said going into this game the confidence and the boost that we would get from going 2-2 into gather round against a scary looking Suns outfit, and then Good Friday against a Carlton outfit that will no doubt be smelling blood. I never even thought about what it would be like going into that 1-3. And I never imagined the third loss would come in the way that it came last night. And so all we can really do now is sit with it, process it. We've got a week until gather round. It's a stage we've never won on before. We haven't won a game in South Australia for a very, very long time. And it would be quite the statement to make if we were able to clip the Suns next week. But we are so far off it right now that it's hard to know what we will do to change heading into that game. And a lot can change in a week. A week is a very long time in football. And I really hope they take the week to sit with the performance. A loss is never acceptable, and you never want to make excuses for a loss. But if you lose in a manner that is honourable and that is brave, a loss that allows you to see the light at the end of the tunnel, doesn't sting the same way. But there is just no excuses for what happened last night at Marvel Stadium. Absolutely no excuses. There is one thing I will say though, and there is one thing that says to me that this club has changed. Last year in the Good Friday clash, Callum Coleman-Jones ruptured his Achilles on the ground. And when he was sitting in the forward line waiting for the stretcher to come and get him and take him off the ground, not one North player went over to him to make sure he was okay, to support him. Everyone just sort of dispersed and did their own thing. And Kane Corns brought that to the attention of fans that weekend in his media wrap, and rightfully told the club off and the players off and questioned the cohesion and the unity and the culture of the club at the time. Fast forward 12 months, Luke Parker kicks a ripping goal in the first quarter against his old side, and players swarm from everywhere to be around him and to celebrate him. Jacob Constanti starts one too many biffs with his old teammates, and every time there was a swarm of North players behind him to support him. Matt Whitlock was caught holding the ball in our defensive 50, and multiple players came around him and gave him a bit of a pat on the back for the effort that he showed. And then when the game was over, every player on the ground in a North Melbourne Guernsey huddled into the middle of the ground. I don't know what was said, and we'll probably never know what was said. And then as a team, walked off the ground together. And that's the one glimmer of hope I have coming out of last night's game. This is a very united team. This is a very strong bond and a connected group. And we are one. We're not a team of individuals. We're not a team of star players out there trying to do it for themselves. We are united, and we are in this together. And if that is the one thing we can take away from last night as the glimmer of hope, then I have no doubt things will change and things will turn, and they have changed and turned, because we're fighting this as a collective. as one club, as one team. And that says to me that we are on the right track. And that now it's just about being able to translate that on field. I hope you guys are feeling okay. I hope you had time to digest last night. Let me know what you thought of the game in the comments below. I'm going to take a few days, take some time to process it, and then come back and prepare for Gather Round, because we will do it all again and again and again and again, because at our core we are North Melbourne people and we love this club and we don't abandon the people and the things that we love in a time of need. Go Roos.